Welcome back to It Was Never a Phase Cards, and we have a little bit of a situation developing with Destined Rivals when it comes to singles. Now, we were seeing the majority of the singles come down in value pretty substantially from like the pre-release window to like release day, but now we're starting to see that trend reverse, and we're going to dive straight into it. And obviously we have to start with Team Rocket's Mewtwo EX, number 231. Now you can see, this is why I do like using TCG Player, because you can see this chart helps visualize things really well. And what we were seeing was, obviously Mewtwo was very expensive during the pre-release window. But then when we got to release date, we did see right here Mewtwo sell below 300 into the $200 range, like upper 200s. And that seemed like a lot of other cards were following the same trend. They were dropping. And then after that, you give it a day and things have started to reverse. Now, current market price on Mewtwo, according to TCG Player, is $362, but lowest listeds now are pretty much at $400. So we're seeing a reversal here. And this was something that I was surprised with how much they were dropping out the gate. To see this card selling in the $200 range was actually kind of shocking. I wasn't sure, how it was going to go. It kind of seemed like we were back to older times where when a set came out, usually for months, you'd want to hold off from buying any singles because the prices would drop. But then we had seen that kind of start to change with definitely with Surging Sparks and definitely with Twilight Masquerade with the Greninja. That's when cards started going up in value, like right after release. So that was kind of interesting, specifically the Greninja. So now we're seeing that reversal happen, and it'll be interesting to kind of track this moving forward, where this ends up going. Obviously, this being the chase card of the set. So now around $400. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this. Now, it's not every card. We'll cover everything here in a second. We'll also talk about some sealed. What the sealed side is doing. So, but leave a comment below and let me know what you guys think about this so far. And then if we hop over to Cynthia's Garchomp, which is a really stunning card, number 232 from Destined Rivals. This was at, looks like 218 upon release, and then it did drop all the way to, we saw it in the 170s. And now it's seeing not as big of a bounce as the Mewtwo. Obviously, that's the big card. It's going to have the most attention drawn to it. But we are seeing this bump back up almost to $200. 195, about 197 with shipping currently for the lowest listed near mint copy. And you can see the most recent sale here already over 200. So it looks like Cynthia's Garchomp bouncing back up to the $200 range. So not as crazy of movement, but still worth noting. And these being the top two cards. Also something to keep note of as we look at this, which, it's still early because the set really hasn't officially been out for very long at all. But just keep an eye here, and I'll try and point it out. At the current quantity available, 32 copies of Cynthia's Garchomp and also 32 of Team Rocket's Mewtwo. So just keep an eye on that. We do have more copies available of Ethan's Ho-Oh, and that may be a little bit of why this card hasn't seen a bounce back, or maybe people just aren't valuing Ho-Oh, just not being as popular, which is totally fine with me, by the way, because I grew up playing Pokemon Gold. So if this card continues to drop, I'm all for it. So, more affordable for me, the better, personally, because I have not yet picked this up, obviously. But we will be ripping some Destined Rivals on the stream later this month. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We're going to probably rip a lot of Destined Rivals for a birthday stream. I got a ton of packs I've been saving up for the past 6 months, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel for that. That should be very fun. But anyways, sidetrack. The Ethan's Ho-Oh from over 200 down to 150, and that's pretty much what we're seeing right here. Lowest listed's right at 150. So maybe this is kind of where it levels out. Like I said, I don't know if this card's going to necessarily go up in value, but Ethan's Ho-Oh, not as much attention on it. So it's not every single card that's bouncing, If you go over to Team Rocket's Moltres, which is another stunning card, 44 copies available of this one. This one has went from around 150 down to 140. You can see that right here. This was selling for much higher. You could see between 130 and 335. So the initial sales here were much higher in the $300 range. And then obviously they've come down and down and down. Lowest listed for an English copy is 140 currently, which matches current market. So these are ones that haven't bounced back yet, if they are going to bounce. If you keep looking at some of the other cards from the set, like the Nidoking, this one's starting to bounce, but it's not quite as much of a bounce. And it makes sense because obviously, like the bigger chase cards, you can see, I don't know why the quantities are all at like 32 is weird, but anyways, 32 and 32. But Team Rocket's Nidoking right here, you can see we were seeing 135 as the high, around 108 the average, and then it came down to in the 80s, and now we're seeing they got market at 92, but currently lowest listed for Team Rocket's Nidoking is $100. So this card's starting to move up in value as well. Similar, this one is one of my favorite cards from the set, Team Rocket's Crobat. Now this one has dropped quite a bit. This one's very affordable for a special illustration rare from this set currently. They have market at $68, but lowest list is around 60. So this one hasn't bounced yet either, and you can see why. People just aren't valuing this card enough. There's 65 copies, a lot higher supply on the market, and you can pick this up a lot more affordably at around $60 currently, which once again, for me as a collector, this one's totally fine because I like Team Rocket's Crobat. So yeah, I'm happy to see the singles prices drop, and I wish they would all continue to drop. So we'll have to see if this trend continues for some of these, or if this is going to start bouncing, kind of following the Mewtwo as well. So that's kind of what we're looking at with the bigger cards from the set. And then we do need to talk about the sponsor of today's video, which is Notify. Now, there's been a lot of drops happening recently, not only with Destined Rivals. You have your Prismatic Evolutions, Costco drops, tons of product that has been dropping online. And if you want to have the best chance to secure product, you're going to want to use Notify, which is a notification service, essentially a Discord server. They're more than a notification service. They have a buy, sell, trade. It's a whole community, but you can get notifications sent straight to your phone for all the latest product drops. And that covers everything from like your Target, Walmart, Best Buy, Costco, everywhere online. And no matter where you live, there's for every area and region, you can get notifications sent directly to your phone. So you have the best chance at hitting a restock. Now, that doesn't guarantee that you're going to get anything, because it still is difficult today. You're fighting bots and scalpers and everything out there. So I like to view it as it's a tool on my tool belt that helps me have a chance against the bots and scalpers. And it's what I personally use, and I've had pretty good success overall using Notify. So if you want to check it out, there is a link in the description, and there's a free 3-day trial. You can try it absolutely for free. If you don't like it, you can always cancel. But make sure to use that discount code and the link down below in the comments. So check out Notify. And then back to the cards. So we also have Ethan's Adventure, which is a nice looking trainer card. I love the Cyndaquil and the Pichu, but this one has dropped from $100 down to in the 50s. Most recent sale all the way down into the 40s. So this one's continuing to drop. And once again, kind of makes sense just because people aren't really picking this card up as much. You can see the supply, $64. So this is special illustration rare. In theory, it should be just as difficult to pull as the Mewtwo, but obviously people are not buying this card the same. Right, so that does make sense, and we don't know where the bottom's going to be on this, but around $45. Once again, drop. I'm happy to see them all drop because I want to pick up this card for my collection. So that's kind of where I'm at with this card as well. And then let's take a look at some sealed, and then we'll jump back to singles, because we are seeing a little bit of a bump for sealed as well. Now, the booster boxes were slowly coming down, right? Closer to release. You can see back here, we're at almost 270. And then as we get closer to release, and then release day, as low as 251. Now, they haven't bounced very much, right? There's still a lot of boxes available, right? It's going to take a while to sell through some of the initial supply of stuff, but we have seen them come back up to around 260. So a little bit of a bounce. Now that's not a guarantee that it's going to hold at that price. And you can see the listed median price is around 270. So maybe these boxes will continue to rise. You start to look at this compared to other Scarlet and Violet sets like Obsidian Flames, and you think, at least how my brain works, I think, Destined Rivals should be more expensive. I think it's a much better set overall than Obsidian Flames. So you'd think that these would start to go up in value, but maybe we just need to eat through some of the current supply. A lot of boxes out there still. Obviously still a very expensive box, like well over MSRP, but that's kind of just where the market's been. Cheapest boxes around are pretty much 200 for the lower tier sets. So not a surprise to see it start to bounce a little. It's something I'm keeping an eye on as far as all of this stuff, and I will keep you guys updated. If you're not familiar, if you're new to the channel, I do post every single day. So if you guys want to stay up to date with the market, make sure you subscribe to the channel with notifications on. Not many people have the notification bell enabled. It's only around 5% of those who are subscribed. So I'll keep you guys up to date. You don't have to track any of this. Just stay tuned to the channel and I will keep you guys updated as things move. And then regular Elite Trainer boxes, these were going for in like the 110s to 120 before release. And then at release, they went under 100 and they've continued to drop into the $80 range. Lowest listed, although we are starting to see a bounce on them right now. You can see market at 87, most recent sale at 82, but now the lowest listeds are at 92. So it looks like we may be starting to see a bounce on the Elite Trainer box as well. So that's another thing to keep an eye on. Definitely looks like this will continue to move. And then the Pokemon Center ETB is a little bit of a different story when it comes to TCG Player. These prices were heavily inflated, and this happens every release on TCG Player. So you kind of have to just ignore all of this stuff before, and it pretty much starts right here. And once again, it hasn't been that many days since release, but just kind of holding steady. $180 hasn't really moved up too much, and that's pretty much what we're seeing here with the shipping and everything. So pretty much 180 is what you're looking at if you weren't able to score one from the Pokemon Center. This is going to be an interesting box to track as well. The promo from this, not particularly very strong in my opinion. I think it's good, and I like the Wobbuffet promo. But if they would have done a better promo, like a Jesse and James, or something with Mewtwo, or something with I don't know. There's nothing wrong with the Wobbuffet, like I said, but what we have seen is that PC ETBs with a strong promo perform very well long term. So I still think that with this set, even at this price, this is a decent pickup price considering what other PC ETBs have done, because I do think Destined Rivals will age well. So that's kind of what we're looking at for sealed. And then let's look at some of the illustration rares from the set, because we are seeing those bounce as well. Misty's Psyduck was selling as high as $90, and then upon release, you can see, once again, if you look at the range here on May 30th upon release, as low as 32, as high as 75, right? So it was kind of all over the place on release date, but the average being around $44, $45. It has bounced up into the 50s, and lowest listed right now for an English copy is at $50 right here, lowest listed. So which would be a little bit below this current market price. So it's come down a little, but a little bit up. And so illustration rares are kind of one where they're obviously a lot more common. They can take demand really high value. We've seen that a lot from this era, but it does depend on the set and depend on the card. Obviously this is going to be a very popular card, but I don't think it's going to demand, anything like, the Magikarp from Paldea Evolved level or anything like that. But that's what we've seen illustration rares be able to do. It's not going to be like that, but it will be interesting to see kind of where it ends up. So we might see a little bit more fluctuation when it comes to the illustration rares, but we have seen a little bit of a bounce off of Misty Psyduck. And I think this is the one we've seen the biggest bounce off of, is Ethan's Typhlosion. Definitely one of my favorite illustration rares from the set. But you can see on release date, around 36 was the average, and now it's up a decent amount, right? All the way up to around $45, $46, with the lowest listed English copy right there at 47 with shipping. So this one has bounced a decent amount off of that. So interesting to see there, and obviously a ton of sales happening on release date, May 30th, right there. So 46 copies available versus 92 from Misty Psyduck. So this at least initially seems to be the more popular card out the gate as far as what's available. And then you have more copies of Misty's Lapras, 94 of this one. And once again, not as crazy of a bounce, $25 up to into the 30s. So nothing crazy. We don't really need to do too much of a deep dive. This card, while I do like this card a lot, not as good as the Psyduck or the Typhlosion. And then my favorite illustration rare of the set, by far, hands down, the Houndoom. The Houndoom currently is around $21, and market price 79 copies available on this one. And it's come up a little bit upon release. It was around $18 and just barely up into the lower 20s. Currently lowest listed right now is around $22 for the lowest listed. This is one that I hope just continues to drop and drop and drop. But not very expensive right now, even out the gate, which is totally fine. People maybe don't like Houndoom that much, but I do love one of my favorite Pokemon and love the pose a lot. So I'm definitely happy with this one dropping. So we'll keep an eye on it and keep you guys updated. And then Cynthia's Roserade seeing a little bit of a bounce as well. Now, this one continued to drop until June 1st and then just a little bit of a bounce. So not really as much to report here. We're kind of, I wouldn't say grasping at straws, but we're really probably overanalyzing this card. Definitely not as popular. You can see this one over 100 copies already listed on TCG Player, and current lowest listed around $19.50 with shipping, which is right there at current market price. So nothing crazy happening here. It is a nice looking illustration rare, but yeah, once you start to get into a little bit into these lower value cards, there's just not as much demand initially happening. So, not as much movement, but that's a little bit of a price update that I did think was worth talking about and worth mentioning overall, just for the set, just to make you guys kind of aware. I'm not trying to, cause any FOMO or get you guys like crazy worried about anything. It's just a market update for you guys. Just because things move up doesn't mean they can't move down or continue to move up even too. We really don't know. Nobody knows for certain with this current market. Things have just been so crazy. But it did look for a few days there like things were just going to plummet. And then obviously the more in-demand cards have started to spring back up in value. So the Mewtwo specifically is one that I'm very interested in kind of following the most, because I think where the Mewtwo goes, the other cards will kind of follow in respect to that. And then obviously the booster box price is the other one, just to see where it ends up going and kind of just see. It seems like people overall are liking the set. I was seeing more, as far as what I see and as far as comments go, I was seeing a little bit more hate and dislike upon the set before the release. But now that we're here, I don't know if maybe those people just aren't as vocal, or maybe they've changed a little bit, or maybe a combination, right? But the tune has kind of changed a little bit, and I have seen, it seems like a lot of people have been able to get their hands on Destined Rivals. I don't know if it's more than Journey. Probably Journey was easier to get as well. But I have seen a lot of people ripping Destined Rivals, which is very nice to see. And like I said, I will be ripping it later this month on a live stream. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel. It'll be definitely towards the end of the month because my birthday is at the end. So we're going to wait. And if I'm able to secure more Destined Rivals before then, depending on the pricing, I will be ripping some more Destined Rivals. So that's super fun. I'm really excited. We'll see how much we can get to rip. So very, very, very excited for that. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Also, there's a giveaway. Should be popping up here if you want to enter. I don't know if we can hit that giveaway goal by the end of the month, which would be kind of crazy. But we're pushing. We're going to announce all the winners at 20K subs. So we're slowly getting there. That would be great. That would be insane to hit by my birthday. Probably not going to happen, but it's a goal that maybe we can aim for. So that's all I have for you guys in this one. I'll catch you guys in the next one. And remember, it was never a phase.